And just like that, we're live, Charles.
We are live.
Just like that. I love it when it works.
Okay, let me check.
Okay, here we go. Yep, I'll check.
Let me check.
Altimeter check.
Check. Bounce check. Check.
Compass check.
Yep. Bounce check. Yep.
I think we're all I think we're all good, bro. Wait,
Okay.
there we go. That looks why is that? That always does that. All right.
Yep. That looks good, brother.
I'm leaving my light on. Jeez. Boom. There we go. Better. All right. Hello, hi everybody. Welcome tonight to Facebook Live with Mel and Charlie. Whew, another interesting day in Hawaii. But hang on. Tonight we get the council candidates on for our candidate profiles 2020. Arryl Kaneshiro will start at 7. 7:25 we'll have Luke Evslin, and at 7:50 Billy DeCosta. So hang tight. We'll get started with that in a few minutes. But Charlie, how was your day, bro? How was your day?
Oh man, I started off again. Yeah, my day starts off at like about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And like how some people they wake up in the morning and they pray to a higher be. And I pray, I try to get the vibes from uh, my good friend David Ige, but still yet never come across yet. But it
Uh,
just never reach that threshold yet. But hopefully one day. But I was saying I was looking at the new testing they got the airlines. I mean, kudos to them. But and when you're an ex cop and you run security now, you look for all the deficiencies and flaws, because they said one of the kits is you can ask for they mail the kit to you and you can do your swab and mail them back just as long as it's 72 hours, no more than 72 hours prior to you take it off. That's one of the airlines they do that. So needless to say, myself and my wife was watching the news and I started to bust laugh because I can just imagine you'll get some guys out there. You're gonna say, "Here, boy, come here, boy, sit, good boy, okay." Daddy gonna swab your nose, send the puppy back,
I
and
honestly don't wouldn't be surprised that people gonna try.
and
They're
your
gonna try
test,
everything.
yeah,
They're gonna try
your
everything.
test gonna come back negative, but then you're gonna be
Yeah.
classified that you got to ride in cargo, and you say, "Why my test was negative?" Yeah, but you're a dog, so you're riding cargo.
I just I saw on the website $250
Oh
for the
yeah,
test. And I couldn't help but post. I haven't really posted much, but those things, that kind of things infuriate me. Um, uh, when you put out these cheap fares, you put out this really cheap fares, and then all of a sudden you come back with this test, $250. Well, you can make money off of that. They don't make enough of a luggage and change fees and blah blah blah. But anyway, you know they understand the demand, right? They understand that there will be a huge demand,
oh
uh,
yeah,
and that's why this whole process is screwed. But that's okay.
and
People,
then yep,
we just gotta keep ourselves safe. No rely on the government. Just keep ourselves safe.
and then you got
Wear
this
your mask.
call center I saw today, Honolulu. They contracted a call center to contact trace. So should you come in contact with somebody, you get on call like this. Hello, my name is Rajiv. I'm from the call center. You have come in contact with someone in Makakilo. Is that by Waikiki? No, it's not. And
That's if you even get a call. That's if you even get a call. It's probably gonna be their next. Yeah, that's gonna be the next one. They're gonna outsource the contact tracing to India. Oh boy, Hawaiian Air already did that. Oh
You
boy.
have come in contact with someone with COVID. You need to take two snake bites and call me in the morning if you feel better. Stuff like that. I don't know I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
And
It's
then one more thing before we bring Arrow in, there was another case today on Kauai, and
yeah,
I
sad.
posted a press release on, and just people, we should be all getting behind this person. I know I saw a lot of posts about did she wear a mask, did she take a test, did she? I understand everybody, you get everybody's so on edge with this COVID, but we must not forget that we're here, we're aloha, we're in Hawaii, and we got to pray for that person and make sure that she's safe
And
and make
there's a
sure that
life.
she gets
There's a life that matters. That's a
yes,
key. Yes.
and many others that are connected to that person. So really, pray for her tonight, and pray, ask for a total recovery, a quick recovery. And no one knows why she traveled or where. That's irrelevant at this point, right? The fact of the matter is that we have a positive case on Kauai, and it's up to us now to uh, to pray for her recovery.
The same way they released the information that was travel related.
Hmm.
If it was me, I would release as much as I could without violating the privacy portion. Okay, I would violate as much as I could,
Yeah.
and if it means that because there are circumstances what would make you go into isolation. Did symptoms prevent itself so you get medical intervention? Because if you did get medical intervention, then you know what, that's pretty darn serious, pretty darn serious. But if it was um, I wouldn't know how they would come across it, but nevertheless, it's something that I think it's the messaging. We talked about it before. If the messaging is done right, everybody can buy into it. Hey, as long because right now the government's job is safety number one and making everybody as comfortable as possible because we need to maintain right now. And right now everybody's on edge. Everybody's on edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the next hour or so, relax, fasten your seatbelts. We get three high-powered candidates tonight running, and we're starting off tonight on time with Council Chair Arryl Kaneshiro. He's connecting to audio, so he should be able to hear us shortly.
Hello, Arrow. Can you hear us? Okay,
Yep.
yeah. Okay,
Okay,
there
now
you
he
go.
can hear us. Now he can. All right.
Perfect.
Welcome, Chair Kaneshiro. Thank you very much for spending some time with us tonight. Sharing a little bit about yourself and your vision for the next 2 years. And the format. It's very simple. You get 15 minutes tonight. You get a 2-minute warning, a 1-minute warning, and then the hook. Our timekeeper is Patsy. So if there's any question about timing and all of that, you direct it to her. And we're about ready. So are we ready, timekeeper?
Wait, hold on 1 second. 1 second. We're gonna do things a little different too. We also have judges tonight. So if you kind of go astray and there's a foul, a flag will be thrown through your screen, and then I'll say what the foul is, and then we go from there.
I'll try not to make any fouls.
You ready?
Yeah, whenever you
All
guys
right.
are.
Your time starts right now.
Okay, well, again, first off, I just really want to thank both of you for giving me this opportunity and giving all the candidates this opportunity. I think it's a good way to get the community at large to get to know us a little better. And again, just all of your involvement in the community. As far as getting to know me, my name's Arryl Kaneshiro, and I am a product of Kauai. My core values were shaped by this community through family, teachers, and coaches. And many of them are still keeping a watchful eye on me and are probably watching your show right now and hopefully writing some good comments or, clicking the like, heart, smiley face, whatever it is. I'm happily married to Gwen, who we've been together for about 10 years. We've been married for almost 3. We have a precious little girl named Everett Paisley. She's just over a year and a half, and definitely without the support of Gwyn and both our families, there's no way I could have ever had a chance at running for council or even being in council. You know, just about me and the way I grew up. Growing up, I've hunted, fished, and farmed my entire life. Ever since I was 5, my dad took me hunting. We spent weekends in Kokee, Waimea Valley, and would even ride our horses all the way up to Wailai. And, you know, I've just been fortunate to grow up and learn from, you know, legendary hunting and fishing families. You know, the Suyokas, Seto, the Fernandezes, you know, unfortunately, Uncle Palaine, he just passed away not too long ago. Dusenberries, you know, these are the families that, you know, kind of raised me and watched me from a young child. And, you know, I've always learned from a young age to care and be respectful of our land and environment. And I want to preserve this way of life for my daughter and our future generations. My family has always been in agriculture on Kauai for 4 generations. My great grandpa started a pig farm that unfortunately shut down this year. My grandpa owned a chicken farm, and in his later years grew fruits and vegetables for the farmers market. And my dad, brother, and I continue the farming legacy with a ranch of over 900 sheep. I've spent many weekends in high school fencing pastures all along Koloa Road. My dad is also dabbling in hemp and CBD production, which they're actually selling the oil right now off their website. And, you know, I know firsthand the difficulties of agriculture and the need to support it. Growing up, I attended Koloa Elementary School, Kauai High School, and Pacific University in Forest Grove, Oregon, before becoming a certified public accountant. I worked at a CPA firm in Oregon for 4 years, then jumped at the opportunity to move home and work for Grove Farm. Definitely the biggest influence on me moving home was my grandparents, who luckily I was able to grow up with just one house away from where I was. So, you know, I never went hungry. If I didn't like what was for dinner at my mom's house, then I could always call grandma and grandpa up and see what was for dinner there, which was, you know, for me, very special, very fortunate. So I always knew being in Oregon that I wanted to be back home with my family. And, you know, I did move home to work for a company or corporation, but you know what, that's what was expected of me from my family, my teachers, and my mentors, to work hard, get an education, and move back home and make a difference. And, you know, I was excited to move home and work for Grove Farm. It's a small local company, only 14 employees, believe it or not. And it's provided me with the opportunity to really shape Kauai's future with housing, renewable energy initiatives, and also support and preserve agriculture, which is dear to my heart. I'm proud of all the farmers and ranchers on our property. You know, many of them you'd see at the KCC Farmers Market and county farmers markets around the island. A lot of those were our farmers. You know, right now we have a Grove Farm Farmers Market that goes on every Saturday at the Puhi Park, and a majority of those are our farmers. You know, and these farmers are a major source of produce to restaurants and grocery stores around the island, and have donated thousands of pounds of produce to our food banks and other organizations just during this pandemic. And, you know, we see firsthand with this pandemic that just how important it is to support our local farmers and ranchers. You know, volunteering has always been a big part of my life. You know, it's always been a priority. I'm a board member and past president of Kiwanis of Kauai. That organization, the main goal is to support Kauai High and Kapahai key clubs. And, you know, you'll see us at car washes at Kukui Grove, highway cleanups along the Willy Willy Road. You know, some of the best things I've had, we've been picking up rubbish along the Willy Willy Road, I think was last year or the year before. And we'll get guys riding bikes by and they're thanking us and the kids that are picking up the rubbish. To me, you know, that just means a lot. And ultimately, most importantly, what I think is important that comes out of Kiwanis is that we award approximately $3,000 worth of scholarships to graduating students each year, which is especially rewarding. And we know how expensive education is nowadays, and you know, how much it's needed. I'm also the president of Koloa Plantation Days, and also the parade coordinator. You know, this was a really weird year this year. We did our celebration completely virtual. And, you know, truthfully, for me, it was hard to celebrate it, knowing that many of the people and organizations that I work closely with and help make the celebration a success year after year are and are still hurting from the effects of COVID. But, you know, as they say, the show must go on. And myself and our outstanding board are committed to keeping the legacy alive. that, the late Auntie Phyllis Kunimura and Auntie Stella Burgess has entrusted on us to continue. I've had the honor of serving on the county council for the past 6 years, and I'm currently the council chair. It's been an amazing experience. Fortunately, I was able to follow a great council chair, Council Chair Mel Raposo. He was the best council chair I've ever had. As a chair, and looking back at the past 6 years, the council has made great strides. I think a lot of times we get criticized for not doing anything, but there's actually a lot that goes on, and I think we've made great strides to address a lot of our island concerns. Definitely, as long as I've been running, the budget is a huge priority. Roads have been a huge priority. Housing have always been like some of the top topics. We always try to address every single year, year after year. As a chair of the budget for the past 6 years, I'm proud that we established a reserve fund target, which has allowed us to save enough money to react to natural disasters, which we've had recently, and the current economic downturn we're experiencing now. We've also been diligent in scrutinizing the budget and making money available where it's needed. We've actually put $2 million a year towards housing in the past three budgets. Roads, I know roads, we get it all the time. Roads have been are an issue and are still an issue, but passing the general excise tax, it's not a popular vote, but to me it was a needed vote in order to get the resources to fix roads. Without it, there'd be no way for us to even get anywhere near a realistic solution to addressing all of our roads, bridges, and all those types of infrastructure. And you can see it coming into play now. The general excise tax now is allowing us to do major road improvements like Maluhi and Koloa, which are roads that were in dire need of work. I don't know how many claims we got a week from potholes, and yeah, those potholes were bad on that road. That road was in bad shape. As far as housing goes, we've made many strides towards housing. I propose a bill to allow multifamily or attached single-family houses in residential areas of R6 and below, which for some reason in the past, I guess they didn't want. But when we're looking at giving people the opportunity to build a house and build it cheaper, allowing people to build a multifamily house is cheaper because they can run the infrastructure to one structure rather than two on the property. They can share a roof, they can share a wall. And so, we can't build every house for everybody. We can't build our way out of this housing as a county, but we can try and, look at these little barriers that we can take away and possibly give homeowners the opportunity to say, hey, now I can take advantage of, maybe building 2 units together because it's cheaper than having to do 2 separate units. We've also passed an additional rental unit legislation, which allows homeowners the ability to retrofit their existing home or add a small rental unit to their house. We've increased density in the town core area, Lihui town core area. And there are a bunch of new exciting projects. Kealaula and Pualoke affordable housing, I mentioned it the last time, but I think this is the first time we have housing projects that are actually going to address people that are homeless. It's going to take people that are homeless and put them into a permanent house. It's going to provide services, as far as like budgeting, substance abuse, and it's really there to actually lift people out of poverty, which I think has always been a gap where we've done a pretty good job of, trying to do housing for a very low income, but we've never done it for people that were actually homeless. And, those 2 projects are going to be a great opportunity. And then there's a lot of projects going on now. You see Ko'ai in Koloa, which is a nice rental project. Limaola and Eleele is going to be a big project coming up in the future. And Huakai and Waimea is also going to be another project. And, all of these projects kind of address the lower income brackets. As Councilmember Kuli and I currently have a housing bill to amend our current affordable housing policy. And this housing policy was to kind of provide housing for, they call it the GAP group, the workforce housing group. It's a group between 80 and 120 or 140%. And, we recognize that the current affordable housing policy we have in place now has produced 0 homes. And that policy has been in place for almost 13 years. It produced 0 homes. So the purpose of our bill was to kind of reduce the barriers to building, to promote more housing in our town core, to reduce the pressure for urban sprawl onto open and ag zone lands, which nobody wants to do, to bring housing to existing infrastructure, which we've heard from the public. Infrastructure is one of the greatest costs to building, and bringing it close to job centers, reducing. And again, the whole intent is to make your house near your job. You're going to reduce people on the road commuting, and reducing traffic, alleviating our traffic issues. It won't completely eliminate our traffic issues, but we're trying to reduce our traffic issues. Again, I think we all know our biggest challenge facing us today and will be in the next few years is the effects of COVID and how we move forward as a community. Me being cognizant of our budget, I think being cognizant of our budget while trying to stimulate the economy will be tricky, because when you're trying to stimulate the economy, you're putting money into the economy, you're maybe providing grants, but yet the county still has a limited amount of resources that we have to say we're going to be in bad shape also. So, I've watched over the budget for the past 6 years, and I really want to see it through for the next 2 years. In closing, I'm running for re-election because I care about Kauai and its future. And, I'll continue to bring homegrown sensibility and my business and accounting acumen to the county council. I also owe a huge debt of gratitude to just my family, friends, all those people that have supported me throughout this entire journey. And, I'm just humbled and honored. I'll be humbled and honored to have everyone's vote and to be able to serve out my final term. I did want to also add, at the last meeting, Uncle Charlie asked me about preserving our way of life for future generations. And, I've been really looking forward to the opportunity to reiterate on it. And, for me, in regards to preserving our way of life, we as legislators can make as many policies as we want, preventing urban sprawl, limiting growth to where we want. But to me, I think the true path of preserving our way of life is respect. And respect for the people, respect for places. We need to be the example of how to treat people. It's social media and the divisive environment nowadays, it's easy to get caught up. And, there's no accountability. I was brought up to be respectful, hold myself accountable, and always leave places better than when you got there. The worst thing that could happen is you go somewhere special. Maybe I bring Everett to somewhere that I think is special, and the place is trashed with rubbish and derelict vehicles. And, that memory of that place is kind of lost. So for me, preserving an area, we need to be the example. We need to bring back that sense of respect.
Thank you very much. Gosh, you beat your time. Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for serving, Chair. Thank you for serving for the last 6 years. Charlie, any questions for Mr. Kaneshiro?
Yes. Well, I threw a flag. I first want to bring attention to the fall. He did flatter you as being one of the best, and the foul is because he didn't include my name. I need to minus 5 minutes from your time for that foul. So anyway, no, very good job. But I wanted to ask you something. You said about agriculture. There seems to be this consensus that because everything got tied into tourism, that we have to start looking at now diversifying to maybe balance off the tourism with another industry for Kauai. And agriculture has always been brought up because we have the land, or we have lands. But you work for Grow Farm, so it's all dependent upon whether landowners will give up those lands or allow big companies to come in and farm on those lands. How real, as a council person, do you feel agriculture can be? Because sugar phased out completely. That was the mega agriculture. What can you say would be, how can you phase in agriculture again?
I think there's very good examples of large agriculture still being successful today. You have Kauai Coffee, you have the seed corn companies on the west side. And there are a lot of smaller farms. We've got a lot of farmers that have farms in the range of 10 to 40 acres. And when we talk about diversifying, we really got to look at supporting these guys now. a lot of these farmers were dependent on hotels buying their produce to provide for their hotels. They're dependent on restaurants to buy their produce. And I actually, there's a bill right now that I introduced, and it's back at Planning Commission because it's a planning zoning ordinance change. But recognizing the environment we're in with COVID, it's essential that our farmers are able to get their products to their consumers as quick as possible. And these avenues that they had in the past, they don't have now. So when COVID first hit and restaurants and hotels are shut down, the farmers were really looking for a place to be able to sell their produce. And Grow Farm did their farmers market, to allow the farmers to kind of sell their produce. And I have an ag bill going on now, which is actually going to allow farmers to set up agricultural retail stands on their property to sell their own produce. Again, trying to make it easier for them to get their produce to the direct customer. And you've seen a lot of these pop up on island, and I think out of necessity, it's been that's a great thing. You see a lot of people going there, buying a lot of their produce from it. But the reality is, based on our rules, they all need a use permit. The bill that I have now is gonna just outright permit it, allow them to set up this retail stand as it's has to be under 1,000 square feet, but it will allow them to be able to sell their ag products directly from their farm, which I think people find a lot of value in that. They want to know who's growing the food that they're eating. And I've seen the community be very very supportive of the farmers. And you saw a lot of like the kupuna programs where they're putting boxes together that a lot of these farmers are producing and passing around the island.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that'll be good. I mean, I hope the Planning Commission sees fit to allow that to get through, and it just makes sense. It just makes sense to allow our farmers to be able to sell their products from their farms. And we're talking about farms that are on ag land, right?
Yep, farms that are on ag land.
All right. You smart. You use up a lot of time on Uncle Charlie's question, so not too much left for me. But I'll just ask the one tough question. The one tough question is, as you know, you've been the finance chair for as long as you've been serving on the council, and we know this fiscal year we're probably going to be okay. But this next council is going to have to deal with a very difficult budget with the reduction in TAT and GET and all of these funds. How is the council planning and the administration planning to deal with that, or has that discussion even started yet?
We've thought about it, and again, we really don't know where we're gonna be until we're there. I'm hoping we're gonna get some laps from our budget that we can kind of pad our next budget with. Again, having that reserve fund available, I think is gonna be important for us. I'm almost definitely sure we're going to have to pull from our reserve, which is allowed at a time like this. With all the business interruption and downturn of the economy, that's what the reserve fund is for, is to help us through these tough times. And, we're going to have to really look at cost cutting. A lot of travel is probably out, reduction of training, looking at kicking the can down the road on equipment purchasing and a lot of stuff, we're looking forward to kind of, in a good economy, you're looking forward to getting this equipment to allow us to do more work. Again, we're going to have to start to retract again and, look at everything and say, do we definitely need it this year or can we put it off? I mean, ultimately for me, the goal is to, continue to pay salaries, continue to allow the county to operate and continue to provide the services that the county should be providing to our residents.
Thank you, sir. Oh, that takes us right up to the 7:20 point where appreciate you, Arryl. Work hard. Continue to work hard. Election right around the corner. And stay safe, most importantly.
Yeah, no, you guys too. And thank you again for having me. Always good to see both of your faces. I love it. Okay.
And hug that little baby for me, all right?
Oh, I will. All
right. Not a baby anymore. My God, what is she driving yet?
Feels like she's getting bigger and about to drive. She has her own personality now. I still want her to need her daddy.
All righty. Well, you take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Bye.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I like that farm bill. I think that's a good bill. You know, because getting a use permit is like pulling teeth.
When you
Having to
have
go in.
when you have no teeth to pull. Yeah, I know the feeling.
uh, you know, to get a use permit, you gotta you gotta send out letters to everybody that live in your area, and ag land is for ag. Ag land is for farming. It's so funny because like one of the guys I work with, he has ag land up in Kilauea, and he has a pig, and he just got a pig, and he's already getting complaints from the neighbors because of the pig. He's on a, I don't know, 3 or 4 acre farm lot, and that's what farmers do. They raise pigs, they raise chickens, they raise crops. You know, they get dirty, and that's what they do. So yeah, I hope that that bill goes through. That'd be cool. Anything else, Charles, on
No,
the budget thing? I mean, I think that what he said is we don't know where we're gonna be, man. We don't know where we're gonna be in a year or two. It's kind of
you
scary.
know what's hard is we have to be prepared, but you know we're basically trying to get responses out of them to see where their thoughts are. And right now, because COVID, it kind of dominates. I mean, we can. There's a lot of shoulda, coulda, would haves that can be thrown into the mix. But until we actually get a cover on COVID and it's covered, some of those plans that they talked about that may sound good might get diverted because of certain things occurring. And so they're trying to give their best possible answer. And like I said before, he's an incumbent, but everybody that we've heard, including Arrow tonight, are very impressive in their responses. I mean, from the primary to now, you you can basically see everybody's been doing their homework. And I've said that before, and I'll say it again. I'm very, very impressed. So I'm
Well,
very confident. Whatever the people vote on, we will have a pretty damn good council.
yeah,
Again,
what I really what I appreciate is when their mindset is keeping Kauai, the culture, the history intact. I think, and we've heard that from pretty much everybody so far. But that's
mhm.
what we really got to focus on. Decisions that are made got to be made with that mindset. I don't
Yes,
care what the issue is, but if you go to the table with the objective is to maintain our Kauai's character, our cultural importance, significance, then you decide. You can make your decisions as long as that is the driving force, and not to circumvent our culture, our history,
yes.
and try to be somebody that we're not. That's what bothers me. I'll be honest, man. And and I'm talking generally, all politicians, when they try to make us become who we're not, and we're never meant to be, then that kind of turns me off. That just turns me off. So
You know how
that's just
I like I like it where a politician was just tell me, all I can do is hopefully get some rules passed, and you determine what direction you want to go in. I'm just gonna try to facilitate to make as comfortable a life as possible. That's all I can do. If a politician came out like that to me, I go, wow, okay. Because if I make a mistake, shame on me. I made the mistake, not the politician.
alrighty. Well, we got another incumbent tonight. We got two incumbents tonight. So coming up is Luke Evslin, council member,
Okay. Bing bing. Avon.
world
Avon calling.
world renowned. Didn't he have that happy birthday signs the last time you were on?
Man, that's the longest birthday. Oh,
Last time I talked to you was my wife's birthday. Yesterday was my daughter's birthday, so they just went
Okay,
back
so
up yesterday. It's pretty funny.
okay, so it's not the same signs, right? You do
No,
you do clean your house occasionally, right?
barely. You guys just caught me too right after it was just total chaos here, trying to get my kids bathed into bed as my wife's upstairs trying to put them down. I hear crying. So it always looks so quiet and calm. I feel like every time I talk to you guys, but it's mostly always chaos in here.
Yeah, it's that's what happens. You get two ex-cops over here. That it's just that's what we do, man. We just notice things that most people wouldn't notice. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, you got to worry about us because we can be looking at you right now, but we're actually looking at the paint chipping off the wall in back of you. That's the kind of stuff we're gonna notice.
Well, Luke, thanks for joining us tonight again, and congratulations for getting on to the general. And same format, 15 minutes so this time, so you can talk a little more slow. I like Luke because he's like rapid fire. At 2 minutes, you'll get this warning. At 1, you'll get this one. And then, of course, the hook comes last. So are you ready? Timekeeper, of course, is Patsy. So don't get mad at me or Uncle Charlie.
Get mad at me.
Get mad at her.
Oh.
Ready, set, go.
Ready. Thank you guys for having me on the show here. I don't think I've ever spoken for 15 minutes in my whole life. I come from a big sort of vocal family, and I'm lucky if I get 30 seconds in. So that's why I tend to speak too quick normally. So I figured actually I'll take a little bit of a different tangent than I normally do when I'm talking. I think normally I'm really policy focused, and I think when I talk about policy, I can normally see people's eyes kind of glaze over. So I figured out with 15 minutes I can tell you guys my whole life story here. No, I'm kind of serious. I'll share a little bit about kind of I think my background, which helps explain, I think, where I'm coming from, my motivation, my, how I make decisions. So briefly, I was born in Wailua. I grew up on the east side. I graduated from Kauai High in 2003, UH in 2007. My final year at college, I started a canoe manufacturing company with my two closest friends from Kauai High. We started it on Oahu while we were still in college. I lived on Oahu for 3 years, building canoes and trying to, figure out the formation of the company. And then in 2010, I was racing across the Molokai Channel for probably my 20th time or so, racing across the channel. And I jumped out of my escort boat to jump into the canoe. And it was off the Owl Point, the very first water change. And my escort boat ended up running me over. And sort of led me to kind of the most transformational moment of my life. But he ran me over. I felt the propeller come through my back 5 times. It ended up severing my pelvis, severing 80% of my glutes on the deepest hit, which was right above my butt. And then the other 4, they got kind of shallower and shallower as they went up my back. And the final hit was actually pretty shallow, luckily, which the one went over my spine, ended up exposing my spinal cord and breaking off 5 spinal processes. And I remember swimming to the surface, just trying to make it to the surface, and then reaching around into my back, where my back used to be, and it was like just nothing there, right? And my whole body was like that because it was kind of around the side. So anyway, I ended up working my way back into the boat, and as I lay there in the face down in the back of this fishing boat, literally watching the blood sort of drain past my face as I'm lying like that. And luckily there was a paramedic boat nearby, and they got on real quick and stabilized me. But I lay there thinking I was dying for 45 minutes. And I even heard them on the radio, them calling the Coast Guard saying, he's not going to make it to Haleolono. You guys got to get him. And as I lay there, and I've told this story many times since, and it always feels so sort of corny in the retelling because I don't have a good way to describe it. But as I lay there, I had this really tangible sense of connection and love to everybody around me. And I've never felt this before or since. I'm not a guy who normally talks about loving connection, but I have no other really way to describe it other than a real sense of just physical connection almost to everybody in the boat, in the canoe, my crew who had just passed us by. And my family and friends, and it was like just waves connecting us. And and I lay there sort of blissed out thinking I was going to die, and then I end up not dying, right? And we made it back to Molokai, got flown to Maui, stayed at the hospital there for 5 days, where my dad and my fiance at the time came, and then flew back home to Kauai. And I remember being home, you know, and I hadn't lived on Kauai actually for years because I was gone for college and then for my business. And I was home for 2 or 3 days, and then you know, and I came home because my dad's a doctor, and you know, it was a good place to recover at their house. And I emailed my business partners at the time and said, "Hey guys, I'm not gonna come back, you know, and I'm gonna just try and do everything I can remotely for the business, which I've still been doing for 13 years now. Is you know, the finance and the customer service and you know, payroll and human resources sort of." And part of that experience, as I came back, I sort of, for the first time, sensed my own like mortality and almost like, you know, fragility in a way. And I wanted to build, you know, self-reliance and resiliency as much as I could. And I didn't, you know, what does that mean? I don't know. And I, you know, my wife and I are at the time, or my fiance, sorry, we built a off-grid home and put up 6 solar panels. And I built a water catchment system and started, you know, growing whatever food. And I'm a terrible grower of food, but we did what we could, you know, and we lived there for 7 years, up until actually just before the election. We finally moved into this home here, luckily, after we had a child. But part of that experience, you know, was, you know, I was kind of proud of my work in the beginning, and then I realized pretty quickly, you know, I'd almost like pulled up the drawbridges. Right, I was working on my business from home. I was doing all this sort of stuff for myself in my own house. And I realized, you know, one, the inefficiencies of living off grid, you know, and just as an example, right, the sun hits my solar panels, fills up my battery. By 12 o'clock, my battery's full. And then that power is just getting shunted into the ground, right? Whereas if I was part of the grid, this would be shared with my community, right? My neighbors who need power would be getting the power from my own solar panels. And just realizing, you know, I was not seeing people or not really helping my community really at all. And that in sort of working towards my own sort of individualistic resilience, you know, I was almost doing more harm than good. And especially at this time, right, KIUC is still doing an amazing job getting to renewables. So it was just seeing them sort of do all this effort, which was happening, you know, not because of me and my efforts here, but almost despite me as somebody who, you know, went off the grid. And then I realized, you know, that you can't do this at an individual level, right? That resilience, whatever it is, right, has to be done at a sort of a community scale. And so I started getting more involved in community groups and you know, some nonprofits, still, you know, not really knowing what I'm doing here. And I ended up serving on the Open Space Commission with the county, and then I served on the Citizens Advisory Committee for the general plan update. And that ended up being another transformative experience for me, serving on there. You know, and it was my first time, you know, and I knew nothing about government or land use or you know, housing policy, and serving on the general plan committee, you know, it's my first time realizing, I think, 2 things. One is how public policy can really help transform lives, and how public policy can be part of the problem. You know, and I heard a bit of Arryl speaking earlier, and he kind of spoke well to that we have sometimes well-intentioned public policy that makes some of these problems worse. And going through the general plan process, you know, one, I just got super passionate about public policy, and it drove me to, you know, end up getting a master's in public policy or public administration with a focus in public policy. But it also just made me really passionate about the general plan. People are always like, you know, what inspired you to run? And I say the general plan, and people are like, you know, are you kidding? You know, I'm like, no, it really was the general plan. And part of it's because the general plan, you know, I think has such a clear, you know, it recognizes, I think, what the root of our housing crisis is on Kauai. And it recognizes that we have these pretty unsustainable building patterns, you know, as Arryl referenced here, that most of our new home development is on ag land or residential land. You know, we're consuming our ag land. And part of it's that we're forcing people to live further and further from where they work. And part of that's because we've just made it so hard to build homes close to jobs, right? This is sort of well-intentioned public policy that's made it hard for us to build homes. And so we're forcing people to live further and further away from where they work, right? And what the general plan says is that, you know, the cost of transportation is exceeding the cost of housing in many cases for people, right? And I lived in, you know, deep Kapahi for a long time. If people want to live far from where they work, that's great, right? But we're forcing them to do so through our land use policies. And the general plan says, hey, we need a clear change in direction here, right? Ensure that everybody can find an affordable home close to where they work through a change in land use policies. And so, you know, so through that process, got inspired with public policy, ended up running for office to try and do my best to try and implement the general plan. You know, and to kind of close this out a little bit, you know, I think we have so many just gigantic problems on Kauai: housing crisis, transportation crisis, crystal meth crisis, COVID-19 crisis, climate crisis. Potentially come November, we might have a crisis in democracy. And I think it can seem so overwhelming, right? And how are we going to get ourselves out of here? But as we've seen sort of over the last, few months with COVID, and before that with 2018 floods, and before that with, Iniki, is that when we, on Kauai, I think when we, face tremendous difficulty, unlike other places in the world, right? We're looking at the rest of the country and they're like ripping each other's apart over mask wearing and like whether, COVID is serious or not. Whereas, on Kauai, I feel like in so many ways we come together, as a community to solve these problems, and not only do we solve them often, but we get through them stronger as a community afterwards. And I want to give, as it relates to COVID, so much credit to you guys and the work that you've done here to, help educate and help, really get the community around some shared solutions here. I always think about like when the recommendation came out to first wear masks on Kauai, right? And started off with just a recommendation. And like the next day, everybody wore a face mask, right? And where did these all come from? It was like everybody, literally their mom and their auntie was working overnight making face masks. And where else in the world do you see that happen, right? And all just the shared sacrifice that we all make through this, as everybody's, avoiding doing indoor gatherings and all these things. And we're doing it not necessarily for ourselves, right? That's the whole message of COVID, is that we're doing it for each other. I walked into the store once without a face mask by accident, right? And it's just like mortifying. You just feel like you're an embarrassment to the community, like, oh my God, and run out and put my face mask on. But that's because we're doing all this for each other. And, and if you just look at all the food drives happening constantly, 4 food drives a week, right? Every community group out there and every church group is giving away just massive amounts of food. And we all just come together, right? And I don't want to like say like everything's good and we're solving this, but every day that we have 0 cases, that's because of the community, and yeah, there's like just crushing economic devastation. I was at a food drive last week and we ran out of food, halfway through, and to see somebody sit in line for 2 hours and then not get food is totally crushing, right? So it's certainly in so many ways we need to continue to do better, but at least I think through this process, right, it for me at least is just another reminder that when we on Kauai face these monumental challenges, that we come together as a community like nowhere else on earth, I think, and we can solve them. And for me, I'm incredibly honored to be, one of 7 council members, and one of 72,000 people on Kauai, right? And for me going forward, I just want to be a part of the solution here, right? I'm not going to say I'm going to solve everything. We're all doing our part to try and create solutions here. And it'd be the greatest honor of my life if I could continue trying to solve problems for the rest of my life, right? That's what I want to do, and working with the community to do so. So, that's kind of where I'm coming from. It's why I'm running for office again, just to have a seat at the table here and work on solutions, with you all. So I don't know if I was able to fill up my whole 15 minutes there. I don't want to leave you guys any extra room for tough questions. I should just, that's all I got.
All right. Okay, we'll unmute ourselves. Well, thank you, Luke. Yeah, no, you didn't use your 15 minutes, so you got us. We have 12 extra minutes for questions for you.
Oh no.
Oh no. Gosh, man, your story about your accident, man, that was amazing. I'd heard it before, but not in that detail. So, gosh, lucky, and nothing happens by accident. So, by the Lord allowing you to live, there's a purpose. So you're fulfilling that. So thank you. I just want to get right into it. You mentioned about the masks, because you're right. For some reason, I mean, my wife everybody was making masks to give away to everybody. Everybody got masks. And yet there's still some people that feel that a mask is not important. And we know, the science doesn't lie. The masks do help. Is there any chance that the county of Kauai, I gave up asking for the state already, but is there any chance that the county of Kauai would come up with a mask mandate to require the use of masks? They talk about constitutional rights, but I have a constitutional right to drive my car without a seatbelt, but we have a law. So I'm just curious what your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess my understanding here, and there's been a lot of emergency rules that have changed over time, but there is a rule that says that you at least should be wearing a mask if you're within 6 feet of somebody and not exercising. I don't know if there's a penalty attached to that. As far as the county council adopting something as a rule, I wouldn't have an objection to it. I do think that here on Kauai, right, we have I would say really, as good of compliance as you can get. I have friends on Oahu who say they go to the store and they still see people without masks, right? And I feel like I've rarely, almost if ever, in a store seen somebody without a mask, right? So I think in so many ways the community is coming together and doing this, and and friends are telling friends, hey, put on a mask. So anyway, so yeah, I should look into whether the mayor's rule has meat or not in it, but I don't have a strong sense either way as whether the council should try and take action on that side. But I will just reiterate, yeah, as you said, masks are the #1 health defense we have on this, and it is mind blowing that anybody would choose not to, and I think that's why we have such high compliance on Kauai.
Charles. Oh.
There you go. Okay. Kauai seems to be the gravitational core. We're noticing a lot of people moving here from elsewhere, and while that may be good for some, I mean, it's up to each person. But it almost seems, in some ways, it can be divisive when um, those who move over here try to make rules to change the culture or the way of life. What can you see as, if given the opportunity to serve again, that you can preserve Kauai the best that you can? What do you see happening? You see that as a reality?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, and for me, as far as people moving here, my parents moved here in 1978, and I think for people, as long as people are moving here and they're part of the community, right? That's to me that's good and that's fine. Certainly, I think the problem is people not being part of the community, or we have a crisis of vacant homes. I believe something like 1 in 8 homes on Kauai, they're partially vacant, they're second homes, and and for me, that's kind of the areas that I look at, is how can we discourage those types of practices? Because when somebody has a home sitting vacant, that takes away from the community, in my sense, in a lot of ways. One, if you have vacant homes on your street, right, that takes away from your own neighborhood, increases crime actually when you have vacant homes, and then the county still has to provide services to these vacant homes, right? Fire protection, police protection, everything. Yet there's nobody living in there contributing income taxes to the state or excise taxes, really. So we have been at least working towards trying to figure out ways to do different forms of a vacancy tax surcharge to try and discourage that practice. Our finance department has a bill working through council right now, which increases the number of days required for a home exemption. Right now, you can get a home exemption on your property, which is gives you the lowest possible property tax rate if you're just here for 180 days. So there's people who are here for 181 days, and then they get this exemption. So that's going to increase it, I believe, to 220, and they're going to try and audit that and enforce it, right? So there's mechanisms like that, I think, to just ensure that our homes are filled with people who are part of this community and contributing to the community. So anyway, that's how I kind of often end up reframing things into those types of policy calls.
Okay, thank you.
I'm asking incumbents the same question as far as the fiscal ramifications of this COVID. We don't know really what it's going to be. We know we're going to have a shortfall. I mean, we're going to have less revenue when this is all over after this budget year. And how is the council or the administration planning to address that? I mean, knowing that we can only raise taxes or reduce spending, basically, and with that lack of state funds coming in, it's going to be tight.
Yeah, I think one, it's a little hard to know what is coming. It looks like property tax revenue, might not really see a decrease. Certainly, we're going to see a decrease in the TAT. Maybe as much as the state can take. and in other, I think state funds that come to us in different forms. For me, I think about it in a couple of ways. One is to just prioritize every dollar that we can spend in the local economy, right? Cuts should come in the form of travel expenses and new equipment and consultants as much as possible. But I do think that and the other component is, to steal Arryl's answer, is that we do have a strong reserve, thankfully to former councils. So thank you, Mel, for your work on creating a strong reserve here, which does give us some flexibility here. But I do want to be clear that we are going to, I think, in the coming years, have to be looking at ways to increase revenue. And certainly that revenue should not come from residents in any capacity, right? And it's why I kind of am looking towards, vacant homes, and I think things that are taken from our community in different ways. If we could do a vacant home property tax surcharge, the numbers we're looking at is a pretty significant revenue raising from that. And then also, things like the possibility of charging tourists to park in a beach park. I kind of say this often, but if you go anywhere else in the world and you're a tourist, you're going to pay to go to a beach park, right? And often residents have access to that free, because we're paying for that in all these different ways. And if you're not a resident, then you got to pay. And I think people even expect that when they go on vacation, right? And if we can help fund our beach parks a little better, then people would even appreciate it, I think. So possibilities for raising some revenue there. But yeah, just to go back, obviously I think everybody on council would say, certainly in a time of economic contraction, no increase the property taxes on residents, and ensuring that every dollar stays in the community.
All righty, sir. Thank you very much. That wraps up your time.
Hey, that wasn't very hard. Yeah, those answers.
Yeah. We try to keep them mellow. Keep them mellow. The 15 minutes, I think, is more, from what I've heard from our viewers, that was from the primary election. People actually change their minds watching back then it was 10 minutes, now it's 15. Yeah. And we can see the conversions on the comments. It's pretty cool, as because people want to know who you are, man, and what you believe in, and that's kind of what we want to provide. And
so thank you for that opportunity. I really don't think I have spoken for 15 minutes ever in my life. So, and I'm scared to go look at some of those comments maybe, but I really appreciate the opportunity here.
I was so intrigued. I didn't even see any of the comments. So I got to go back.
I can say the majority, all of them are very, very positive and good. So,
no, thank you guys for everything you've done. I really mean it, that I think you have made a huge difference in how we handle this crisis and how we've come together as a community. So thank you for your work.
Thank you. You're welcome, man. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.
All right. Have a good night. Aloha.
All right. Another one down. One more to go.
Wow, it's just, when you start off,
run over by a boat.
Yeah. You know what? I've had to investigate several in the Wailea. They come up to the dock, boating accident, and unfortunately, Luke's is very lucky to be alive, because the cases I've handled, it wasn't, you got people snorkeling, and the boaters just didn't see the flag, or that little buoy they pull, let them know that they're in the area, and bingo right over, and it's terrible. But I'm glad he made it through, and straightforward. And like I said again, I'm gonna say it again one more time. I'm impressed with everybody. It's just getting the decision it's gonna be a hard one for voters, I think.
Well, the problem is when you get so many good candidates and you're limited to how many you can vote for. But hey, that's why it's important to go out and vote, though.
Yeah.
You gotta go out and get your voice heard. That's the only way you really can. Facebook is one way.
Yeah. I should know, Mel. Facebook is only one way. Yeah. And I've been beating the damn drums, boy. Because remember now, gang, this is Uncle Charlie telling you gonna grumble, then vote. Vote, then no grumble. That's all I can say. Your time is now. You're gonna have the time. You're gonna have the time to do it. Do it. Take advantage. That's your God-given right to vote.
Yes, it is, and it's better to just get it done. Now you get them mailed to your house. Just do them at the kitchen table. No need to leave your house.
And it's okay. You get brown gravy on top. That's added point. You get brown gravy and maybe some dried rice stuck on that envelope when you turn them in. No worry.
Yeah. Hang on, I just checking some of these. Looks like we get a.
But anyway,
We don't want to explore that about. Yep, a lot of. That's the only thing about Facebook. You get comments, and then the comments starts going back and forth, and so anyway. Next up is Billy DeCosta. He's scheduled for 7:50. He did text me and said his wife had the iPad and that he was going to come on using the phone, using his phone.
okay.
So we'll wait. We'll give him a little bit.
Well,
A little
I
bit of
did have
time.
I did have another a nice letter today, a message, and it was from someone, Facebook fan, all the way from North Carolina, about an hour from the Tennessee border. So I'm assuming that's by in the area of Cherokee, that area, because that leads. But Cherokee, it's right on the border with Gatlinburg. But and it was just basically, the person said they enjoy coming to Kauai, Hawaii, and they have friends on all islands. But they respect the culture so much that, and just by watching our show, the person said that I want to respect you, Uncle Charlie, and Uncle Mel, and all the people you brought on. It makes sense. And until COVID can be under control, we should not be traveling. And I would, and the person even said, if I had COVID and I came innocently and got someone sick, I don't know how I'd live with myself. So I want to tell that person, thank you so much. That letter meant a lot. That message meant a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on the mainland right now. I was watching the news tonight, or earlier today about
The shooting.
uh, Billy's texting me how he don't know how to come on. Hang on here.
Okay. You got to give a
Yeah,
little.
they shot the two cops.
Hmm.
They shot the two cops, and they're just terrorizing the town. They're terrorizing the city. They're tearing
Well,
it up.
the thing is, it's okay to be angry, but and it's okay to make changes. But when you start, it's no, it's gone way beyond an eye for an eye. That's what it seems like. I mean, these rioters, they may have a gripe, okay, fine, but then they're hurting some people their entire life savings went into opening up a business, and you're rioting and looting and burning things down. I mean, that's not right.
And
Come on.
shooting police officers. I don't understand, and when you watch the news, they say it's a peaceful protest. But they're not. I mean, it's not peaceful. In Portland tonight, there was throwing Molotov cocktails into the police line, and you thugs, you're thugs. You're not protesting anymore. Protesting is that's a constitutional right, and you should be able to do that. But when you start doing things that violates the rights of others or infringes on the rights of others, then that's not peaceful protesting no more. And it irritates me, not just because I'm a former police officer, but I mean, golly, that to go out there and shoot cops because you're mad. So you go out there and you use this as an excuse um, to go and loot and mob and hurt people. And then these states are just allowing it to happen. I mean, to me, honestly, the military should be called in already. We go into countries that have civil unrest that are people are doing the same kinds of things in foreign countries. We send our military to go resolve, but yet we're burning our own country down. I'm irritated. So anyway, uh, Billy's in the room. Let's bring him in.
Oh, there you go. Okay. There you go.
Turned it off, yes.
Aloha, Billy. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me, Mel?
Yeah, I can hear you. Right on. Perfect. Thank you for joining us tonight, sir. And we will, same format. First of all, congratulations on getting through the primary and heading to the general. Same format as last time, Billy. You'll have 15 minutes though this time. So you have you get 5 more minutes than the last time. At the 2-minute mark, you'll get this warning. At the 1-minute mark, you'll get this one. And then I've never had to use the POW yet. Seriously, everybody has stopped right on time. So the timekeeper will let me know. You ready there, bro?
Okay, I ready, Mel.
Okay. Timekeeper, you ready?
Yeah.
You may begin.
Okay, I want to say thank you so much, Mel and Uncle Charlie, and everybody out there watching, you know, and all the kapuna that had raised me from baby time. You know, it takes a village to make a person, and I believe at 55, it took all of you out there on Kauai. So, and ni hao. And I can honestly say ni hao because my dad was a supervisor for Robinson Plantation and the Kanahele family and the Kohaoli'i family, and we used to run around barefoot in Pakala. So big shout out to everybody. It's kind of hard act to follow with Luke and Arryl. You know, a lot of policy and talk and regulations, and I'm not up to par on all of that council stuff because I'm not a council member. My jargon may improve, but I'm going to just speak from my heart and local boy and my educated and countryside, and we're going to roll with that. So here we go. I'm born and raised in Pakala, little plantation community. I went to Catholic school. In St. Teresa, I went to Waimea High School. I was class president at St. Teresa and at Waimea High School. I grew up surfing the Great Left, and I enjoyed pig hunting more, so I quit surfing. I went off to college and got educated with a 2-year degree in industrial arts, where I dabbled in carpentry, welding, and electronics. And I graduated from Humboldt State at a 4-year university with a bachelor's degree in business management, concentration, economics. Came back to Hawaii, married my soulmate. She's an ICU nurse at Wilcox. She used to work with Luke's dad, Lee Evslin, and she was actually his nurse. So I have a tie with little Luke there growing up. And Arryl is like a little friend of mine. We're raising 3 handsome and very rascal boys, but I'm proud to say they have a lot of respect for adults. And thank you for all the villagers who helped me raise my sons. My educational background, what was my degrees? I have another degree in elementary education that I got in 2000. My job experiences, I have a 3-year experience as an accountant for Medical Dairy. I have 2 years as a project estimator on Oahu for Richard Lee as a cost estimator running job costs on big jobs. Actually, my best job I ever did in 2 years out in Oahu was a swamp in Aliomano. We put a polyurethane cloth down that we went to Louisiana and learned about. And now there's something like 50 homes built on a swamp. So talk about the inevitable and things that can be done out of the box. We did it back in the 90s. One of my greatest accomplishments also in my job was working as a substitute teacher and as a longshoreman part-time. And I had to get my hands dirty, and I understand how to, you know, work at the ground level, unloading the ships down at the docks, and appreciate every standpoint from the most educated to the ones that are struggling to pay the bills. I got to get my hands dirty to all of them. My highlight story is when we had the rain for 40 days and 40 nights, and we lost some of our earth on my property. And I was all kind of bummed out, so was my family, but FEMA came, and FEMA, you know, took the measurements 55 feet long, 38 feet wide, and 18 feet deep. And they told me, Mr. DeCosta, you still have 8 feet of road next to your one of the homes. We bought 10.5 acres and 2 homes back in 2002. And we built another home. And I was really upset that I couldn't get any money from FEMA. But with the help of the community, believe it or not, guys like Douglas Dusenberry and Carl Dusenberry and Raja Palama and on the trucking companies and all my friends in construction, we brought truckloads of boulders, and we did a key lock system, and we put some cement in from Tronis, and I put a wall back that they estimated over 150 grand, cost me 7 grand. And it's because Kauai people came together and got stuff done. Now, of course, I had to barter with some of them. So Mr. Dusenberry's, my skill in laying hollow block tile, I helped them build a farmhouse up in the valley. I traded that for like almost a year worth of labor. And then I gave Raja Palama some hunting dogs, which he thought was worth a lot of money at the time. But anyway, that's my bartering system on Kauai. my educational background in teaching, I've been a special ed teacher for 5 years at Wyoming High School. I dealt with the fully self-contained and ALC kids. It was a group effort by all of the people at Wyoming High School, not just myself, but my educational assistant, Jadine Kajiwara, all the teachers that assisted me, Shelby Ergman, Kui Souza, John Altamari, our principal, Bill Arakaki, and we ran a program where these kids came from drug homes and they were able to have self-worth when they builded products. They builded welding products, they builded lawn chairs that we sold at our alumni fundraiser carnivals. And then the superintendent, Patricia Hamamoto at the time, she came to Kauai and she said, hey, this guy, Mr. DeCosta, he cannot be teaching 12 kids. You got to get him in the mainstream. He got to be teaching all the kids at Wyoming High School. So they gave me a chance to come out of special ed, which most teachers don't come out of special ed because we're a commodity hard to get. And I was able to go into the wood shop. And you know this, Mel, more than anybody else, buddy, that picnic tables we built with the collaboration with me, you, and when you're on a council with Brian Baptiste, and we did it 24 picnic tables. And, you know, Brian was all worried, hey, can we build that? My carpenter is going to get upset. And you know what, Mel, I remember you told him, Brian, let Billy do it, man. We're going to get this stuff done. And we did it, man. And we put it in a park from Hyena to Kikaha, built by high school kids. Can you imagine if today we can build with Evan Costa at Kapaa High School, we can build prefab homes that we can put up in our little community subdivisions that we're going to design under 200,000 built by high school kids? It can be done. They've done it. I know right now with the Construction Academy here at KCC, they're building tiny homes like 8 feet by 8 feet. How about build a 20 by 20 and prefab it and have it, you know, where people can buy it and put it on their long-term farm leases. And then Uncle Charlie, I have a story with you so you don't feel left out, but Auntie Stephanie, your love, asked us to build a concrete sign out in Kikaha Boathouse. And you know what? She asked for a wood sign and I was all excited because I love wood. And the kids in this class said, Mr. DeCosta, you cannot use wood. Wood not gonna last in Kikaha. The UV rays, the dry heat can kill off the polyurethane. We got to do something more strong. And the kids, Malosi Cabral and Kyle Lewis, given the chance as a senior in woodshop, they came up with concrete. And if you go to Kikaha, the Kikaha Boathouse sign is made of concrete. We built it, we put it in. And I'm proud to say that kids can do stuff. That's my light bulb. I want to have kids build things with private and county and state entities and put it together. So my last thing I'm going to go into as a person is the steer that we finished for you, Mel, when you ran for mayor. I remember my wife and I had an argument that night. She was a Bernard follower. She worked with Bernard's wife. I was a Mel follower. You know, Portuguese are in together. And I remember, you know, we had that steer. She was 600 pounds. And my group of ranchers, and, you know, I surround myself with smart guys. And I remember, you know, Mike Tressler and Boyd Gallages and all the Rita boys, and all of us caught this steer for you, and we brought it home. And we raised it on a 1 acre grass lot, and we fed it 1 pound of grain per 100 pounds of body weight. That's the measurement when you want to finish marbleized meat. And we gave you a steer that was 180 pounds heavier, and we took it to Willie Sanchez, and he was impressed with the marbleized meat. In fact, he asked me, how in the world did this yellow fat come into play? Because the yellow fat looked almost whitish. And I explained to Uncle Willie about how we were grazing this animal to make it taste better. And I tell you what, Mel, I know you lost the mayorship, but we ate steaks at your party, and Bernard only had Kalua pig and lomi salmon. So, you know, that's really great. And I can do all of this. And because I surrounded myself with educated people, and together we can create products on this island outside of the box. So with that being said, I'm going to roll, and I think I should have about maybe 5 or 6 minutes left, but I'm going to roll into my problems. I'm going to come out and just tell you guys, food security is our #1 problem. And we got to get a jump on that right now. We import 85% of our products. Young Brothers raises its prices up to 46%. We cannot wait for another pandemic. How about a world food shortage? How about if we have a water shortage? You know, Fresno and all of those farms in the belt of California, 3 years already, they've been underproducing food. Peaches, apples, lettuce, tomatoes. What's going to happen when they don't have the produce to send us? Are we going to get caught with our pants down again? How about a diversified economy where we can have farmers living on long-term leases? How about we have off-the-grid infrastructure? The technology is here today. We can have a tertiary septic system that is removable if need to be. It's where you have water that comes out 3 times through a tank. It's charcoal filter, and it goes into a garden. In fact, it's so clean that you can drink it. I'm not going to drink potable water, but it's set up that way. We can have solar. We can have off-the-grid housing. We can have housing that is prefab by college and high school kids ready to assemble underneath one of our construction companies like Shioi or Kauai Builders. There are things we can do within the county with our county programs. How about a county to summer learning program instead of county summer fun? How about teach kids skills at this local farm that we're going to have people on? How about create, like how we have a Hawaiian immersion school? How about create an ag immersion school that's on our ag land? So when the farmers are working, their kids are going to school on the land. How about having an area that we can create a community where they live in harmony? They have a barter system where they can share with other community members who are outside of the farm living area. Maybe they're from Ele, maybe they're from Lihui or Kapa, maybe they live in an apartment, but they want to contribute on a farm. They come down once a month on Saturdays, they milk the goats. We make homemade goat milk, we make goat cheese. I had 3 dairy goats on my property. I never milked a goat in my life, but yet I ate all the ice cream. I had 3 friends who came and fed the goats and made the ice cream and shared with me and my wife because I gave them a place to raise the goat because they lived in a home that did not allow animals. There is so much that we can do. How about our drug treatment center? We all talk about the drug treatment center. Oh, how are we going to fix it? How are we going to incorporate these children? Easy. I dealt with these kids with my team at Waimea High School. You got to give them a place to feel self-worth. We got to get those kids out of the drug treatment center, get them on farms like this, let them work, let them have self-worth, let them build things with their hands, let them do their academics so they can graduate, and let's make them successful citizens in the community where they feel loved. How about the last one I want to talk about? How about homeless to farm initiatives? You know, we think about the Waimea Park. We go down to Anahola. They're living in tents. I go down there sometime. What do I see? They do nothing all day. They want to do something. Not everybody is a lazy homeless person. Not everybody has emotional issues. Let's give them a farm to live area. Let's monitor it with a county board. You know, let's have them maybe on our community farms and they can work to ensure food, housing, hygiene, off the grid living, and maybe a paying job one day. Maybe we should have a community kitchen and a portable slaughterhouse. I think the slaughterhouse is portable on trailer, go for between 50 to 100 grand. Can we produce our own food in our own community certified kitchens where we, the Kauai people, can export to Oahu, where there's 1.something million people? We can sell our products all over the world because we can export it now legally because it was done in a certified kitchen. Our beef, our steaks, our hamburger was hanged in our slaughterhouses. We have local slaughterhouses, but sometimes they're so jam-packed, we cannot even get our beef in. Here's another market that no one talks about. You know, every cattle rancher, small cattle rancher, needs to send their cattle, their ship outs, 400 pounds a piece to the mainland because nobody in Hawaii buys them because we don't have a feedlot. How about grow grain to feed our livestock? How about that as another economical, diverse job market? Grow wheat, corn, barley, oats, alfalfa. And if we cannot bag it because the moisture in the air, let's grain to graze. How's that little acronym? Grain to graze. Let's have pastures. We plant rows of corn. One row of the guinea grass and weed will grow because we're not going to weed the farm. Another row of barley, another row of wheat. And then we rotate our cattle at 6 months old. And we fatten our cattle to be marbleized both on grass because animals have 4 cartridges in their stomach. So they don't do well with grain. So you need to give them grass. And we can market our meat to all of our farm to table opportunities at the hotels. Now, here's my light bulb. I have about 2 minutes left. Here's my light bulb. Here's my out of the box thinking. We're going to go back to tourism. We're too deep into tourism, but this is how we're going to do it. You know the tourist bubble we got? Yeah, we're going to bubble our tourists on our community farm. Once they finish the 2 weeks at the hotel and they're clean from COVID, they could come to our farm and they could stay 3 to 4 days, maybe a week, live in a small plantation dwelling, work the land with their hands, become a kua'aina of the land, learn our culture, become part of us, immerse themselves with the children in our ways. Go pick the pineapple that makes the smoothie. Go put the pig in the ground that makes the emu pork. Go watch the hula. Go become part of us. And the money we earn, not going to be for the wealthy mainland company who's going to start the resort. We're going to start the resort, our co-op. We're going to be profit sharing. We're going to have the county help us. Whether the county got to float a bond, we're going to come up with that. We're going to have our local people be a busy bee to the honeycomb, not just one drop of honey. Let's let the people of Kauai take home a piece of the honeycomb. It's about time. It's about time to give Billy DeCosta one of your 7 votes and not think out of the box. How about this one, ladies and gentlemen? How about we create a worldwide box that we be the world leader with community farming, where our community live, work, and grow food for food security. And if they want to be the fireman and the teacher, great. They can still work outside a farm. They just got to farm on the weekends or in the evenings. They can invite their friends to help farm. It can be done. It will be done. There's ways to make it happen. Everything that me and my core coffee group, I call them, wanted to do, and you're part of that coffee group, Mel, because you was in it way back in the 90s. Give us a chance. Us. I say us because it's not an I person. It's all of us on Kauai. We can do this. Let me shake a stick and get things done for you guys. Love you. Love you, Kauai. Love you, Uncle Charlie. Love you, Mel. And that's it. Thank you.
Whew. I gotta drink something too.
You gotta. I have water. This is not homemade vodka made from potatoes in the backyard.
No,
No, this is
mine is juice, believe it or
You
not.
know, Mel, I'm sorry if I sounded over confident and competent, but and don't confuse it with cocky and because I'm not. I have so much knowledge because I got my hands dirty from young, and I've been in many different trades and many different opportunities. And you know, I built a home with my wife for $95,000 back in 2003, and it can be done under 200 grand. It can. It will be done. Anyway, I'm ready for Uncle Charlie's questions or your question.
Charles, you have a question there, sir?
Yes. No, first of all, thank you, Billy. You know, if selected, if you have the opportunity to serve the people of Kauai and Niihau as one of 7, you have a lot of enthusiasm, and I believe it's contagious for all the right reasons. How would you be able to convince the other 6 members? Because you will be casting one vote, right, on anything that moves in the council. You'll be part of the crew of 7, as we refer to. How can you, or what would you do to convince the other elected council members of your views?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that question, Uncle Charlie. And I don't have all the answers. And you know me personally from family ties. And I have that kind of magnetic personality, genuine, good guy. And I think it rubs off on a lot of people. And I'm willing to apologize when I'm wrong. I'm willing to make things right when they're wrong, or make it wrong when they're right. And I have experience with people from North Shore to Kikaha when I run my program up in Koke. We got to camp overnight, 2 nights and 3 days, the people I don't even know. And at the end of 3 days, these people are hugging me goodbye and exchanging numbers. I had people come to my house and help with my concrete staircase from Haena and Kilauea that I never met until Koke. So I believe what I'm going to probably do is provide my warm heart, provide the problems that we need to face, and it's evident what we need to face. It's food security, alternative homes where people can live in, homeless to live someplace, and our drug treatment and county programs that have our kids highly skilled so they're not fighting, putting umbrellas in drinks at the hotel, that they can go out into the community and get another job. So it's evident. The problems ain't something that I want. It's what Kauai want. And I believe that together we can make it happen. And I'm actually personal friends with almost everybody running for council. Yeah, some better than others, but yeah, I'm just a nice guy. I think people like me. Thank you.
You know, one of the things you talk about is the housing. And I remember I don't know if it was on the last show, I heard on a forum about the $200,000 homes.
How do you do
I
it?
agree with you. I agree with you. I think there are ways, you know, package homes, prefab homes. There are ways, but I wanted to hear you because you explain it much better than anybody else.
And I can explain it because we've done it. That's the thing. So Evan Costa and I and Taba from Glenn Taba from KCC, we had coffee hour and we talked. And we talked to Hansador Lumber. We talked to the Kauai Lumber Joe, and we can bring in lumber for about, give or take, 25 to 30 grand with the iron roof to build a 20 by 20. So with that being said, that's this material cost just for a home. Now the labor part, we're going to work a partnership with the Kauai Community College Building and Construction Academy that's already going on. And we're going to have one of the union companies agree that these kids coming out of high school, they're not even graduated yet. They're going to work to graduate. So they're going to come on as like an apprenticeship, but they won't get paid. Their hours worked will be hours served, so they can get a certificate to get into the program as a carpenter apprentice. And we build tables, so now I know we can build the prefab homes. And under one journeyman or two journeymen that works for the company, I'm pretty sure we could talk to Shioi or Kauai Builders. I'm pretty sure they would love to assist us if they had some kind of tax break that the county could do for them. Or even if we got to talk to our state legislators and get them on board. But we could get these kids out to this job site, screw these prefab homes together that we built at Kapa High School, Kauai School in Waimea, and we could call these small little farm homes. And if we cannot do it on ag lease land, maybe we can do it on a small developer piece of property that maybe the county go partnership with the private sector. But I want to tell you, I'm building a small little storage on my property. I have ag land. I'm able to do that. And we build foundation and everything, and we're doing it with the boys, and it can be done. And it's crazy how labor costs run about 60% of the home. And I can tell you all this because I learned that trade my 2 years in college, so I swing a hammer. And it's hard for people to explain that on a council if they're not a carpenter. It's hard for them to explain farming if they're not a farmer. Luke said he lived 7 years outside off the grid. He didn't like it. You know how many guys love living off the grid? I go to Waialae every year on my mule and spend 5 days in a mountain, sleeping on a hammock with my boy in a mountain of Waialae. We love outdoor living. So, a lot of people were raised that way. A lot of people weren't. My wife would stay home and paint her nails. She doesn't like to go outside. So thank you. Ask me another question. I'm fired up.
I think we are at the time. Hang on here. I'm just trying to figure out because we'd start late. So 7, 8, 20.
Yeah, I still have a couple minutes.
We get 3 more minutes. Charlie, we get time for one more question for Billy.
Don't make me look bad. I'm on a roll here, Uncle Charlie.
No. I tell you, I like that idea about going in a mountain. I mean, I'm with you, but knowing NT staff, I'm probably not going to have a house to come back to. That's why I wouldn't go with you in a mountain. But as a council person, okay, we let's diverge towards COVID, because that's a sore topic that has impacted the state and the county greatly. There's a lot of businesses that's suffering right now. There's only so much money that could be given out, whether it's through grants, whether it's through loans that the county can do. If you had the opportunity to serve, would you look at different programs and how would you administer, or what options would you take to convince the mayor that we got to continue, and we're looking long term now, that we have to continue helping these businesses? Well, what would you do?
I think it's evident, Uncle Charlie, that if those hotel industries open up with a bubble and come back, your mom and pop stores are not going to be impacted. The tourists are going to stay within the resort area. So basically the resort area that has the restaurants will benefit. If you go down to the Marriott or the Hyatt or wherever they're going to do the resort bubble, they will benefit. We got to let the mayor know that these mom and pop businesses need assistance, and that's where the funding has to go. We have to keep them alive. Mom and pop stores and smaller businesses is the driving economical force of a thriving economy. I know that because I have an economics background. And the large box stores, they price everybody else out, Uncle Charlie. And I know it's hard for people to spend that extra 50 cents on a papaya. And Mike Danderan, he had an excellent example of that. But we got to do it, Uncle Charlie, because when you buy local, the money stays here and it circulates and it empowers us. I really would like to see that ag community farm happen, where our ag community can bring local produce, local cheese, local milk, local meat. And I know we cannot sell dairy if it's not USDA approved, but I tell you what, if we can barter it with people with working skills, let's say our tractor goes down, somebody come and fix the tractor, we can give them some milk. There's ways to get around it, but I think COVID had teach us that we got to think out of the box, and we got to plan for our keiki. You got beautiful grandchildren. I don't want to have grandchildren yet, but I have 3 boys, and my grandchildren, when I do have them, I want them to have a legacy to say that 2020 on the Mel show with Uncle Charlie and Mel, we decided to diversify and go into ag, plant our food, take our compost out of the trash, take animal and plant matter and make soil organic matter, and revitalize our soils and have small farming and make food security our #1 target. Thank you, Uncle Charlie.
Okay, Billy, thank you very much. I hate to cut you guys off. I wish we had more time for all of you guys, but unfortunately we get 14 of you. But work hard, keep working hard,
Yeah.
stay safe, and keep doing what you're doing, my friend. And good
Bless
luck
you,
to you
Mel,
guys.
and bless you, Uncle Charlie. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Take care.
Thank
Stay safe.
Woo-hoo.
That was a good ending.
Yep.
You know,
I think
a lot of good stuff tonight. I really do want to see this council pursue a couple of things. Number one is the housing, of course. You know, this 8x8, 8x10 stuff that people are talking. I know Maui was talking about, oh, they're gonna put them on 8x8.
going pallet home, they call them.
Yeah, you know, I mean, really, come on,
You know
man.
what I
And then
mean?
you gotta go outside, use the toilet, and you know what? There is a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. You buy these prefabs and get like Billy talked about, get the community to help in. And then the other thing too is about what you talked about, the last question you asked about the economy. And you know, we heard two council members incumbents talk about the reserve that at some point, you know, and I know the county has offered some programs to grants and federal and CARES fund money,
Mhm.
but at some point, we got to take care of our small businesses too. We're not as bad as Honolulu because we didn't have a shutdown. You know, even our bars are still, you know, our restaurant bar is still able to operate. But should we head where we don't want to go, you know, the county does have that reserve funds to assist some of the small businesses because small business is the backbone of our
Well,
economy.
you know, I tell you something which is very unique in a sense, and it might be again veering off the trail of what tonight was about, right? First of all, I like to say these candidates again. It's tough, but you know we can only select seven, but it's tough. I see it. What's interesting is that there are two advisors to the city and county of Honolulu, and I've mentioned them before. Two doctors, Dr. Kimbo and Dr. Berman from Kauai. I am just curious because we've had bars open here. Bars cannot open in Honolulu. I'm pretty sure Dr. Berman could have shared experiences with Honolulu to say it can be done because they're doing it safely over here, right? Because remember now, there are two advisors. It's kind of odd in a sense that in that realm and in that case, if it was brought up that nobody was listening, because that's, you know, because you figure with bars, and I understand you get a little bit lax, you get a little bit stupid. And one of the bar association said, you know what? If we do anything wrong, then we deserve to be shut down. But give us a chance. You know, like with Murphy's, he said, hey, all we asking for is on Lifeline. We're not asking for any handouts. We just like open so we can start making money again. And what people don't realize is like other than other businesses, bars usually have those extra monies like taxes, fees, all of that rolled up. And you know, they go after sales. It's not like on retail shop, right? They go after your, you know, they watch how much liquor you sell. They go after all of that. So I'm just picking that as an example. That when you have an advisor, and it's funny that it was an advice to the Honolulu, you know, because I look at it as what's good for one is good for all. And if I give you an opportunity, you know, the first time you screw up, shame on you. But if I give you that opportunity to go again and you screw up again, the next time, shame on me. And I'll never let it happen again. I'll shut you down. But you know, these poor bar people didn't they had the opportunity. So I think, you know, with this council, and I don't want to belabor this, whoever is selected, there's a lot of things they're gonna have to bring into the hopper and get Kauai as stable as possible in lickety split time. That's what I see. Now, you've been a council member yourself for all those years, Mel. You've been chairman. So, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to be going out there giving this rah rah and I going down the wrong avenue on this. But I really think this new council, whoever the members are, they're going to have to, there is no time for learning. They're going to have to come running out of the gate, and they're going to expect it to know that they're going to have to know they know the craft.
Yeah, I think what makes it easier than a traditional new council is the fact that they all have a common enemy, which is COVID. So they'll all be working to deal with COVID. And so I think a lot it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting
Mm-hmm.
term because you're going to obviously you have the incumbents, they have the experience. You have Bernard Cavallo, former mayor, who's more than likely going to be one of the seven based on the numbers. So you have a former mayor, you have incumbents, and then you have new blood. You're going to have some new blood in there who, and I don't say this in a bad way, but they're in for a rude awakening because I was. I can remember when before my first term, I thought I was going to save the world. Just like remember when you became a cop, Charlie, you thought that you was that special one that was going to save the world, and then you realize you can only do your best. You can only do your best.
I remember I had a cape and I was standing on the edge of my house, the roof, and I jumped off, and I thought I was going to save the world, but I ended up with a broken ankle. Yep, that was me.
And then you get in, and then you realize, like in the police department, there's so many obstacles, so many stuff that you didn't know about. But again, because the focus will be on COVID and getting over COVID, I think the transition will be so much easier for this new council because they're all fighting the same enemy, and I think they'll gel well together. I think the personalities will be good and should be all right. We have 3 more tomorrow night. We'll have Kipukai Kuli, Councilmember Mason Chalk, and then of course former Mayor Bernard Cavalli will be on tomorrow night. They'll wrap up the candidate profiles, and I'm really thinking about trying to get them do a Honolulu mayor debate on Mel and Charlie. What do you think?
Try that. Try that again.
We do a debate for the Honolulu mayor's race, just for fun.
Well, I will respectfully support you, but my feelings is I've been vocal about. But that person not gonna be on, right? The present incumbent mayor, he not gonna be on, right?
No. It's just
okay.
The 2 left. Only get 2 left. Amamiya and Blangiardi.
Okay. No, I thought you was gonna bring on my good friend Kurt, and I would have to regretfully.
Well, we have asked him, and
have to stay off the air. I would stay off the air. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I got to think about it because again, we wanna appeal to all our viewers, and like we did the Kauai race, so our friends on the neighbor islands and on the mainland had to deal with it. But I think that's going to be a highly contested race on Oahu. A lot of rail affects all of us. Believe me, rail affects all of us. And I'm just curious. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud right now. I'm thinking out loud. People are asking about the Jones Act presentation. That would be a disaster. I'm not. Again, I want to bring on what the people are interested in. So send us what you guys want. We're still dealing with COVID. Please do Honolulu mayor candidates. No Kurt.
Yeah, I want to bring on the kind of shop stewards election for the kind of DOE custodial service. Yeah, for DOE custodial service. See what they think about custodial work.
Let us know what you guys think. Shoot Charlie and me your messages. What do you guys think? What do you guys want to see? And then we'll try to plug them in. Federal lawsuit case would be good for Jones Act. The Jones Act, like Charlie. Remember that night we had Kahele, Senator Kahele. Charlie, what do you know about the Jones Act? What was your answer?
I said, well, I've been to Vegas. I've seen Tom Jones act several times. Was good.
I just want to make sure the content is interesting for all our viewers, and so
Yep.
we shall see. And then we want to provide both sides of the argument, not just have one side. And then I really don't want it to be political. That's why I want to, if we do it in a format for a race, then we want to bring everybody on, so everybody gets a fair shot. So anyway, we'll think about it. We'll think about it. Tomorrow night again, Kipukai Kuli, Mason Chalk, Bernard Cavallo will start at 7 o'clock. Any closing thoughts, Charles?
Well, what I do want, and I'm gonna keep on pushing this. If I can get someone from the CDC to come on and join us, we may have to do it earlier because of the time. We by the time we come on, it's like 1 o'clock their time, unless they're giving the significant other an excuse, like, oh, I'm working late that night, that type of thing, and use us as an excuse. But I would like to bring on someone from the CDC, because I really think we really got to hammer down this infection rate within airplanes. That's key. That is key, because unless we can get a guarantee that all possible infections are stopped before they get on the plane, and that's highly unlikely. But unless that happens, then you take a sterile container, you fly it over the ocean, and the container is still sterile. Then that's okay. But that's not, especially if you got a window of 72 hours. 72 hours counted down to D-Day when you take off on that flight. Anything is possible. So I would like to get somebody from the CDC on to talk to us, and just give us the straight scoops. That's what I would like.
Somebody mentioned the Surgeon General. I did do a formal invitation to the Surgeon General, and he did not respond either. So
He probably checked in with our friend, the LG, and the LG said, "No, don't you go on this show. Don't you go on this show."
yeah, I not even normally when you send them, you get a response. Yeah, that, but he didn't even respond. So whatever. Charlie and I have sent. I don't think you guys even know how many invitations, phone calls we've made to get people here on the show. So I know, like I said last night, I know a lot of you shoot me messages like, hey, get so and so, get so and so, get so and so. Listen, we try our best to get new and informative people on. So again, if you folks know anybody that you want to see and it's relevant to our discussion, then please, by all means, let us know, and we'll do everything we can to try to get them on.
I think I can get my good friend Rajiv from the call center. You want him to come on?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hello,
Absolutely.
hello. My name is Rajiv from the contact tracing call center.
So the Jones Act keeps coming up, so we'll take a look at the Jones Act. But again, if we do the Jones Act, I would like to have two sides, just because a lot of people don't understand it. Just being, some of you do, some of you are aware, and some of you don't. Yes, Dr. Kim and Dr. Akhtar will be coming on. Thank you for reminding me. See, we gotta trying to shoot for next week. But anyway.
Well, you said something really good. I don't really know much about the Jones Act, other than the fact that if it's removed, I hear the pros and cons to it. Everybody is of the thinking that, it will be cheaper. But just remember one thing: once it's removed, foreign vessels don't have to play by U.S. rules. Just remember that.
Yeah,
Just
I
remember.
wish I was well versed in the Jones Act. I'm not. I'll be honest with you. That's I've read about it. I've read articles. I've read the pros, the people that are supportive, the people that are opponents. That's just above my pay grade, and that's something our federal delegations gotta figure out. That's the thing, because there's so many moving parts with that Jones Act. I know, I think it was Ed Case that was talking about possibly amending it. Um, but again, I am not qualified to speak on that, but we'll try to find some experts. It would be interesting to have a civil debate with two sides of the coin, and we'll explore that. We will explore that
You know how
because I
you
see the interest.
you know how you would get it. You get somebody from the U.S. talk about the Jones Act, and we're probably gonna have to get somebody from China to talk about the Jones Act. Then you definitely gonna get two sides of the Jones Act.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many components of that. That act includes shipbuilding. It includes the military. It's just a lot of moving parts that. So I'd much rather leave that discussion to people that understand it. But we'll
Mhm.
definitely pursue that because I do see the interest on the comments. So
Yep.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sharing your was it a couple hours or so, hour and a half with us. Tomorrow night again, 7 o'clock, same place, same time. And we'll wrap up the candidate profiles 2020 tomorrow night. All right, you guys stay safe. God bless. We love you guys. Stay safe. Aloha.